Now this next one, geez, all right. This one worries me, all right? This one, because this is my kid. And I want you all to know I'm his ride home to Olympia. So I'm not going to give him a ride. You got to deal with me for the rest of your life, which can be as long or as short as you want. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my son Taran.
Okay, so you now know that is my dad. He actually brought me up to always look for the funny side and everything. I think this was because a lot of times when I would ask him questions, there wouldn't be a bright side to them, but he could always make it funny or funny for someone. And a lot of the following years, I always remembered that because he was I don't know if it was because he was cheap or because he was creative, but he didn't like things like TV or buying a Christmas tree, and so his ways of getting around this was, we had a TV, but since he didn't like looking at it, he'd hide it in the closet. And then whenever we'd go out to the local video store to rent a movie, I would be the one who would have to go through the closet, drag this, had to have been 50-pound TV and TV stand on wheels that never spun on a rug. And he would have me hook it all up. Like, it's your movie night, boy, you work for it. And when Christmas time came around, I said, hey, Dad, let's get a tree. He's like, I've got a better idea. Let's make a tree. He was like, how? And I was like, he took out this wool green blanket and stapled it to the wall in the shape of a tree and said, now let's decorate it. And so whenever I would explain to everyone, my tree is awesome, we left it up for so much longer after Christmas, and we didn't have to deal with dead leaves or pine needles. I'm like, what are you doing with it? I was like, oh, it's a blanket tree. And those are actually some of the best memories I have of waking up and seeing things hanging on my tree as presents or under it. And one of the gifts that I'll always love him for this, he is deathly allergic to cats, but he finally allowed me to have one. Here's the thing, though. I think he got it from a old gypsy woman who he had angered, because this cat was way more intelligent than any cat I've ever met, and more spiteful than the most hateful human being I've ever seen. And she knew Dad didn't like her. And so every day I'd come home, and Dad would be chasing Sneak, and I'd go, what's going on? She threw up in my hat. What? Well, no, she... Oh, yes, she did. And his way of getting her to break that habit and house training her was to hold her over what she'd done, smack her on the head, like, no. And then, so she remembers this, and so every so often I'm sitting on the couch reading a book, and I just hear the pitter-patter, and then she'd just jump onto my lap and curl up and like, oh, how cute. And then I'd hear, where's that cat? Uh-oh. And turns out, every time he ever did something to her, move her food, smack her on the head, trip over her, whatever angered her of the week, she would find his possessions, and we tested this. She went through a duffel bag full of my stuff and his. She moved my stuff away and then puked on his library book and ruined I think it was like a $30 to $45 library book, just completely wrecked. And all this time I'm sure she's not meaning it, but every time I'd have her run from one room to me, oh my God, she knows he won't do anything to her when I'm next to her. And he still managed to get the last laugh, because every time she would catch a bird, I don't know how she did this, we declawed her, we kept her in an apartment, she never went out, she'd somehow find a way to catch a bird on the balcony and bring it in and just paint the walls with feathers and hide the body somewhere. And when I'd come home, this is like elementary to middle school age, by the way, and I'd call Dad, "Hey Dad, she did it again." His response was always, "Well, find the bird, pick it up." I had not yet had a healthy concept of death yet. Here I am, finding my cat's kills and giving them some weird glad bag funeral. And the reason how I know that Dad really put himself out is that whenever Sneak wasn't tormenting him by puking and peeing on his things, he was always in his bed looking like he was strapped up to so many different humidifiers and tissues everywhere. He looked like he was on his deathbed every other Thursday. And whenever my mom would drop me off, she would just come in and go, "You alive?" And he'd whisper weakly, "Yes, I'm here." And she like, "Man, his allergies must be really kicked up." Or like, she thought it was seasonal allergies. Like, no, it's the cat. The cat, it literally broke into his room and slept on his pillows specifically to make his life a living hell. And as much as he and this cat always fought, they were pretty as close as I was to her, to each other. And at the end of the cat's life, he was there for me to help let her go. And he loved her just as much. And throughout all this, the TV, the blanket tree, the cats, despite being allergic to cat, I realized that a father is someone who you are always looking up to, no matter how tall you get. And thank you, Dad, for being that person who I can look up to.
Guess who gets to ride home tonight?
Oh, I get shotgun.
Wow. All right, shotgun. All right. Oh my God. That was not planned. I was so worried coming all the way up. And it's funny you thought that I had a thing against buying Christmas trees. Daddy told stories for a living and we couldn't afford a Christmas tree. And if you knew the guilt I felt by being someone who just got up here and told stories and not making any money, raising you, and I can't believe, like, all right, it was all right. That's something else dads keep, a lot of guilt. We gotta fix everything has to be perfect, and you know what? It's okay, it works out. Thank you. You gave that to me tonight.